Hello, Volleyball family. My name is Tabitha. Let's start out our practice today lying down, flat on our back. So we'll roll over, finding a seat. We can reach our hands around our hamstrings, bringing our hands to inside of the knee crease. Roll down, drawing both knees into chest. We can rock side to side here. So as we're walking ourselves side to side, rocking ourselves side to side, we can start to anchor our spine into the earth here. And noticing the heaviness of our spine and the length. And we're allowing our tailbone to extend and reach out from underneath our back. Maybe tucking the chin here just a little to lengthen out the neck. Breathing in here. With each inhale, breathe the belly into the thighs. And then with each exhale, gently draw the knees a little bit closer. And then from here, we can float our feet to the floor. So let's step our feet out to about hip width apart. So this is called constructive rest pose. Our soles of the feet are planted on the floor. We can wiggle our toes here just a little, widen and spread out the feet, making our feet nice and wide and big, pressing the soles of the feet into the mat. We can leave our knees here, hip width apart, or we can allow the knees to come together at the top, resting here. Let's place our left hand on our heart, our right hand just on the belly here, right in the space around the belly button, whatever feels comfortable. So wherever we're feeling our arms rest and relax naturally. So bringing our awareness here into our breath, we can visualize, since we can't touch our face, we'll do a little bit of breath work where normally we would close off one side of the nostril or the other with our hands, but keeping our hands away from our face today, we'll just bring an awareness and an intention to breathing in here through the right nostril and down into the right side of the body. So as we inhale into the right nostril, down into the right side, pulling the breath all the way down into the right toes, we can then exhale, pulling that breath up through the left toes, exhaling out the left nostril. So just circulating our breath in through the right nostril, down to the right toes, and then exhaling up the left toes and out the left nostril. Just a few rounds of breath here. Maybe noticing as we're feeling, as we inhale into the right nostril, maybe noticing the belly press into that right hand. And then the heart lifting into the left hand, and then exhaling out the left side. Inhaling, breathing breath into the right nostril, through the right leg, down to the right toes. Exhaling, pulling breath through the left toes, and exhaling, exiting through the left nostril. On our next inhale, as we exhale, we can start to step our feet out to the width of our mat. Wiggling the feet, widening and spreading out the feet. Let's go ahead and bobble our knees side to side. We don't have to drop them all the way down yet. We're just getting our pelvis moving, rocking back and forth on the hips, noticing any tension that we might be feeling. Our hands hands can come out wide to the side like a T if we'd like. Palms can face up, or they can turn down, pressing into the earth. So just depending on what your body feels like at once. Maybe we're lifting our palms up to the sky, opening those energetic pathways upwards, opening to receive, or pressing down towards the earth, just kind of coming into a little bit of stillness, centeredness, groundedness, rooting down here. Just choosing what feels good for you. We can make those knee wobbles just a little bit deeper. We can drop the knees to one side. Doesn't matter which, you choose one. We're doing the other side. Exhaling as we sway the knees to the other side. Maybe noticing any tension that we're holding in the hips. Now next time we find our knees floated down to the left side, let's hold. So our knees are now in a Z-shaped pattern, whereas our left knee has dropped down to the floor, our right knee is reaching towards the left heel. Checking in with our upper body. So maybe we're holding on here. We can just ease the shoulders down towards the floor. We can encourage our shoulders to release, let go. So to get a little bit of a deeper stretch here, we can start to grow our femur bone longer. So just setting the intention to grow the bone a little bit longer. So we're pressing down and out pressure through the kneecap. Our right hip might lift just a little. It's really reaching our bone through the kneecap here. Noticing if we're feeling any tension. Notice where we're feeling tug of muscle attachments. Breathing through the right nostril down the right kneecap. On our next inhale, let's release that pressure. Exhale, float the knees all the way over to the other side. So now our right knee lands. Our left knee is reaching towards the right heel. And from here we can grow that left femur bone just a little bit longer. Long pressure through the femur bone, through that thigh bone, out through the kneecap. Maybe the left hip lifts here just a little. Noticing any tug of muscle attachments. Where are we feeling any tension? Does this feel good? Noticing the difference on this side from the last. Breathing here through the left nostril, down through the left hip and out the left kneecap. And on our next inhale, let's exhale, float the knees back up. And let's bring our knees to 90 degrees. So we're stacking the kneecaps over the hip joint. Our shins are parallel to the floor. We're flexing our toes up towards the sky. So noticing here our pelvic area. So we want to engage Mula Bandha, root lock. So like we're zipping up the zipper on our jeans, we're taking internally the pelvic floor. We're lifting and zipping the pelvic floor up towards the belly button. And then we're taking our hip bones, squeezing our hip bones in together like we're cinching our belt. Stabilizing the hips here. We can rise up through the fingertips, lifting the fingertips towards the sky. Dead bug. Now we can choose to hold here. Maybe this feels good. Maybe we're feeling powerful here. Noticing the spine, its length, honoring the curves on the floor here. On our next inhale, if we choose, we can exhale, extend the right leg long. Press the heel forward to the front wall. Float that heel towards the floor, but not quite touching. Inhale, lift back to 90 degrees. Exhale, left leg long. Pressing out, push the wall away. And inhale, 90 degrees. We can add the arms if we'd like. Inhale here. Exhale, right leg, left arm. Reaching way back. Stretch the fingertips out like we're pushing the walls away. Inhale, back up. Opposite side. Exhale, lengthen long. Inhale back up. Alternating side to side here at your own pace. Let's do one more round. Stretching out long. And then drawing those knees into the chest. We can rock side to side. Breathing the belly into the thighs, exhaling knees into chest. Let's roll all the way up and over here. Coming up onto all fours. And finding that nice, powerful, stable base here. We're spreading out our fingertips, widening the palms, making that connection with the earth. Planting the hands down into the floor, push the floor away. We can curl our toes under here, rock side to side. Maybe noticing if we're feeling tension in our toes. And finding stillness here, let's tuck our knees just underneath our hips, maybe slightly forward of our hips. Curling those toes under, let's inhale, lift the knees, hover the knees. Breathing here, long through the spine, reaching the crown of head forward, tailbone back. Inhale in, exhale, release the knees. Let's shift our hips back, child's pose. Walking the hands as far forward as we'd like, we can rock side to side. So sweeping the arms out to the side, collecting up from underneath our arms, any tissue, any tension. So we're just lengthening it, encouraging it to release. Spreading everything out here, reaching our fingertips forward, release the forehead towards the floor. So our tailbone is anchored heavily back towards our heels. So bringing our breath deep down into our body, we can imagine the bottom lobes of our lungs. So we want to use those bottom lobes of the lungs to press down into the hips to help lengthen the spine. So noticing where our hip bones are, maybe we rock side to side, we can feel those hip bones on our sides. 3 big breaths here, filling the bottom lobes of the lungs, pressing the lungs down into the hips, and then exhaling to relax, release. Inhaling the lungs into the top sides of the hip bones, stretching out the spine, exhaling to release. Our next inhale, let's shift our body forward. Kneeling plank, our hips come just forward of our knees. We're pushing the floor away again, nice and wide through those palms. Push the floor away, opening the heart, lift the gaze. Inhale here, exhale, shift the hips back to the heels, child's pose. Inhaling, round the back like cat back, tucking the chin. Opening the heart. Exhaling, child's pose. Inhaling, round the back like cat back. Opening the heart, lifting the gaze, exhaling, shift back. Moving through our half series, our half vinyasa, let's inhale forward, kneeling plank. On our exhale, let's break at the elbows, drop halfway down, elbows are 90 degrees. Release chest, belly, hips. Pressing in to the toes, reaching those toes back, inhaling, open the heart into mini cobra. Squeezing the backside, rib towards hip. Exhale, release. Pressing in the toes, pressing in the knees. Pop the hips up first like an inchworm. Press into the palms, floating our hips back. Child's pose. Inhaling forward, kneeling plank. Exhaling, right at the elbows, modified chaturanga. Inhaling, open baby cobra. Exhaling, release. Inhaling, inchworm hips. Exhaling, press back child's pose. Moving through this flow at your own pace, using your own breath. Just a few rounds here. And the next time we make our way into child's pose, let's hold. On our next inhale, let's come forward to kneeling plank. On our exhale, let's break at those elbows. Release. And lengthen out long. So from here, we can hook our rib cage down into the mat and then wiggle our hips back just a little bit. So we're making some extra space here for the lumbar spine. And we can draw our palms of the hands in line with the rib cage, squeezing the elbows together. On our next inhale, lift up into that mini cobra. So imagining we have suspenders wrapped over our shoulders, down the back, and they're clipped into our waistband. So we're cinching those suspenders, drawing the shoulders towards the hips. Inhale here, exhale, release. Again, wiggling those hips back, lengthening through the spine. On our next inhale, lifting up into mini cobra, making sure we're not pressing our palms into the mat. We're using those suspenders, squeezing the glutes, long through the legs, and we can exhale to release here. Last time, wiggle the hips back. On our next inhale, lift the heart, squeeze, squeeze the glutes, long through the toes, no hands. Inhale, and exhale, release. If we'd like, we can bring our forearms parallel to the sides of the mat, long through that spine, wiggle the hips back, make lots of space, lengthen the ribs forward, pressing into the forearms, all the way down into the fingertips, lifting the heart for Sphinx. So we're using the floor, the mat as a pin to pin the bottom sides of our hip flexors to the floor so that we can lengthen and open the front side of the body here in Sphinx. Breathing into our heart. Breathing into the belly. Inhaling here. Let's exhale, release. Bring the palms of the hands in line with the ribs. Press into the toes. Press into the kneecaps. Lift the hips like an inchworm. And let's float our hips back to the heels. Child's pose, walking those arms as far forward as they'd like to go. And let's inhale up to all fours. Let's curl those toes under. Let's start to push into the floor with the palms and lift those knees. Nice and slow, no hurry to get there. We can start to extend our legs long here, walking the sits bones up into downward facing dog. Choosing if we'd like to walk our dog. We can shake our head. We can nod our head here. Maybe we smile. Maybe we're frustrated today. We make a super angry face. That's okay too. Stick out our tongue. Walking our dog, let the back sides of the legs lengthen, lengthening one side, bending the other, and then changing sides. Breathing all the way back into the back sides of the legs. On our next inhale, let's lift those sits bones high, pushing the floor away. Strong through the shoulders. Inhale here, exhale, high plank. Rocking back and forth through those toes. Maybe bend one knee and then the other. And then inhaling up, down dog. Walking our dog here. Pushing the floor away. Long through that spine. Our heels can anchor heavily towards the floor. They don't have to touch. Our knees can be bent if that feels better. Or nice and long here. Drawing the kneecaps towards the hip bones. Inhale here, exhale, float the knees to the floor. Let's step through here with our left foot. We can just gently rock back and forth here. Now let's lengthen long through the spine, lifting the gaze. Let's inhale up, kneeling crescent lunge. So pressing the bottom hip forward, lifting the belly away from the thigh. Nice and long here. On our next inhale, let's exhale, sweep the arms down. So bringing our hands to our knee. Let's rock forward and back here. So as we rock forward and back, we want to sort of anchor our right knee down into the floor. And then pull ourselves back through the glutes. Now if we'd like, we can reach the top arm up and then sweep that arm down. Inhaling, reach right arm up. Exhaling, right arm down. Last one, inhale up. Exhale down. This time let's walk our foot out. Just a few little steps out. Again, using those glutes, anchoring the right knee into the mat. Using the glutes to pull. And then bending here. You can add that arm. Inhaling to reach, exhaling, floating down. Walking our knee, or our foot, out to about 90 degrees. So in this position here, we are in a modified or a kneeling warrior two. We can sweep that arm up and exhale down. Inhale up and exhale down. Now if we'd like, we can bend into that knee. We can come into that warrior two. Rotate the arms. Wiggle the fingers. Rotate the wrists. Push the walls away. And then grab a hold of those walls, draw them in, squeeze the wrists. Rotate. And release those arms down. Let's come back up. Lean down. And then step back to all fours. Let's curl our toes under here. Let's inhale the sits bones high, downward facing dog. From our downward facing dog, let's inhale here. Exhale into high plank. Rocking back and forth. If we'd like, we can add in a little bit of breath work here, lion's breath. No one can see. Making funny faces here. Lion's breath, we inhale deep into the lungs, and on our exhale, we open the mouth wide, open the eyeballs wide, stick out the tongue. Inhaling here. Exhaling into downward facing dog, lion's breath. Inhaling, high plank. Exhaling, down dog, lion's breath. Just a few rounds here at your own pace. down deep. Inhaling into high plank. Exhale, down dog, lion's breath. Maybe one or two more times if you'd like. Or just resting in down dog. Then we can float our knees to the floor here. Let's step through with our right foot. Just rocking. Finding what feels good. Wiggling the back knee to the back edge of the mat if we need more space. And then lengthening that spine long, opening the heart. Inhale, lifting the arms. Kneeling crescent lunge. Our arms can be up high if they feel good. We can goalpost our arms, cactus our arms. And then we can bring our hands to our knee, lengthening back, and then rocking forward, taking that left hand down. Inhaling and lifting the left arm as we exhale, shift forward. Inhale, lengthen back. Exhale, shift forward. Inhale, lengthen back. Exhale, shift forward. And then bringing that arm down, let's heel toe our toes out, maybe about 45 degrees or so. Bringing the hands to the knees. And leaning here, using those glutes, pulling the body back. And we can add in that left arm. Inhaling to lift as we bend into the knee. Exhaling, float the arm down. Inhaling, bend into the knee, lift the arm. Exhaling. Last time. And exhale. Let's heel toe the knee out 90 degrees. And then bending into that knee. And we can add the arm. Exhale to bend. Inhale, lengthen. Drop the arm. Exhale, bend. Inhale to lengthen. One more time. And then from here we can open those arms out wide into our warrior two. Relaxing the shoulders, making sure we're not hiking our shoulders up to our ears. We can rotate those shoulders, wiggle the hands, rotate the wrists, whatever feels good. We can drop our arms down. We can bring those arms back up, push the walls away. Do what feels nice. And on our next inhale, let's exhale, release the hands down, and let's step back to all fours. Let's curl our toes under in the back. Let's lift those sits bones high into our downward facing dog. Now from here, let's tiptoe our toes forward to the top side of the mat. Making sure we're picking up our toes, shifting our toes forward, walking everything all the way forward. Landing in our forward fold, we can sway here. Sweep the hands from one side to the next. We can lift those heels, lift the toes, just moving through whatever feels good for your body. We don't all have to do the same things. Doing what feels nice. From here we can keep a little bit of a bend in the knee if it feels better. We can release down into our fold. Relax head, neck, and shoulders. Shaking the head no. Nodding the head yes. Let's dip down deep into those knees a lot, like we're sitting down into our chair. Resting the ribs on the spine. Cascade the spine over the kneecaps. Inhale, lengthen the spine long first. Hinge to rise all the way up. Exhaling into chair. Arms can rise up, Hands to heart, goalpost arms, whatever feels good. Making sure we're squeezing our knees open, widening the feet, wiggling the toes. Sweep the arms up, rise up. Exhale, let's taper down. Let's inhale to halfway lift. Long through the spine, our tailbone reaches back towards the back wall. We're pressing the back sides of our legs towards the back wall. Crown of head reaches forward. Inhale here, exhale, fold. Bending into the knees a lot. Resting the ribs on the thighs. Cascade the spine over the kneecaps. Heavily anchoring back through that tailbone. Inhale, spine long first, hinge to rise. Exhale into chair. Hands to heart, lengthen long. Holding here. Let's inhale to rise up. Let's exhale to dive down. Let's inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Bending into the knees a lot. Let's step back with our right foot into our long and low lunge. We can rock back and forth here, pressing back through the heel and then forward into the toes. On our next inhale, let's lengthen the front leg long, maybe lifting our toes towards our nose. Relax, nose towards knee. Wide stance pyramid. Let's press those front toes down into the floor. Inhale, rock forward into our lunge. Exhale, lengthen the front leg long, press the toes into the floor. Wide stance pyramid. Rock forward. And rock back. And forward here. Rocking back one more time, long through the front leg, lift the toes. Relaxing nose towards the knee. Inhale here. Exhale, bending the front knee. Let's step forward and fold. Bend into the knees a lot. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Hinge to rise up. Exhaling into our chair. Inhaling, rise up. Exhaling to dive down. Inhaling to halfway lift. Exhaling to fold. Bend down into the knees. Let's step back with our left foot. Long and low lunge. Now we can shift back into our heel and forward onto our toes. On our next inhale, let's lengthen the front leg long, pulling toes up towards the nose. And then relaxing our nose towards our knee. Let's press those toes down into the floor. Inhale, bend into the front knee. Exhale, lengthen the front leg. Wide stance pyramid. Bend into the front knee, rocking back and forth. Holding here, press those toes down into the mat. Inhale, exhale, bend. Let's step forward, forward fold. Bending into the knees a lot. Inhale long through the spine, hinge to rise up. Exhaling into chair. Inhaling, rise up. Exhaling, dive down. Inhaling to halfway lift. Exhaling, fold. Bend into the knees a lot. Let's step back with that right foot. Let's step back with our left foot, downward facing dog. Pushing the floor away. Really using those shoulders to push. So sliding the shoulder blades down towards our fingers. let's inhale, right leg high. Pressing the heel up towards the sky or back towards the wall. Squaring our hips down towards the floor. On our next inhale, let's exhale, pull that knee in towards the nose, round up through the back, shoot that foot forward, lunge. Let's inhale, lengthen the front leg, rest the nose towards the knee, exhale, bend into the front knee. This time on our inhale, let's lift the back leg high, pressing the heel back towards the back wall, squaring the hip towards the floor. 3-point stance, relaxing nose towards the knee. On our next inhale, let's exhale, pull the knee in, left foot meets the right, forward fold. Bending into those knees a lot. Inhale long through the spine, hinge to rise up. Exhale into chair. Inhale to rise. Exhale, take our dive. Inhale to half wiggle. Exhale to fold. Bending into the knees a lot. Step back with the right foot. Step back with the left foot. Downward facing dog. Now from here we can flow. We can inhale high plank or kneeling plank. We can exhale chaturanga. We can inhale up dog or cobra. Let's exhale meet and down dog. One more time through our flow. Inhaling high plank or kneeling plank. Exhaling chaturanga. Inhale up dog or cobra. Exhale down dog. Breathing here, pushing the floor away. Let's inhale left leg high. So our right heel is anchored heavily towards the floor. Hip is squared, pushing the wall away with the heel. Inhale here. Exhale, knee to nose. Shoot that foot forward. Let's inhale, lengthen the front leg long. Let's exhale, bend into the front knee. Let's inhale, lift the back leg high. Pushing the wall away, squaring the hip. 3-point stance. Resting nose towards knee. On our next inhale, let's exhale, bend the knee. And then allowing right foot to meet the left. Forward fold. Bending into the knees a lot. Resting ribs on the thighs. Inhale, lengthen the spine, hinge to rise up. Exhaling into chair. Inhaling up. Let's exhale to take our dive. Let's bend down into our knees a lot. Step back with the left foot. Step back with the right foot, down dog. Choosing your flow. Vinyasa at your own pace. With your own breath. High plank or kneeling plank. Chaturanga. Up dog or cobra. Down dog or child's pose. Just a few rounds here. Moving through whatever level of pose you'd like. No hurry to get there. Once we've completed our final flow, let's all meet in child's pose. Once we've all rested here in child's pose, maybe taking 3 breaths. And again, using those lungs to press down on the top sides of the hips. And then we'll all the way up. And then find ourselves a seat. So if we have a block handy, or if we have a pillow, even an extra mat, let's go ahead and make our way to a seated position. So working our way through some hips and hip work. So we worked a lot on strengthening and opening our hips today. And we'll make our way into a Turkish twist. So options are this: if you're taking care of knees, or if we have particularly tight hips, we can always select to just come into easy seated. So we're doing 2 sides, so we want to make sure we know which leg has crossed over in the front. So I will start here. We're going to take our right leg, cross our right leg on the floor. So we're bringing our right heel towards our left glute. So I like to sit on a block. Sitting on the block elevates my hips and it tilts my pelvis forward. And so what that can do for us is it just helps to kind of alleviate some of that pressure on the lower back, but it also helps to kind of open the hips in a different angle. So what we want to do, if we're seated on the floor, that's also okay. But as we take our left heel and guide our left heel towards our right glute, we want to make sure is not happening is that to facilitate this, we're not popping up our hip. We want to make sure both sits bones are planted and rooted down into the floor. So if we're lifted, or if this is uncomfortable, maybe we're taking care of our hip joint, maybe we're taking care of our knee joint, that's okay. Come back out, move into easy seated where the left leg is crossing in the front. So from here, we're going to imagine that we're using our spine like a spatula. So maybe we have spent some of our time this weekend making cookies, and we all know, or I know, that I like to make sure I get all of that cookie batter off the sides, not really because I want to make an extra cookie, but really just because I want to eat it. So I want to make sure I get all of that cookie batter. So we've got kind of junkiness maybe caked around in our hips. We've been sitting all day. Maybe we're sitting at a desk that isn't really good for our body. Maybe we're noticing a lot of tension in our hips. So we can kind of take the spine and use it as the spatula or the scraper or whatever it is that you call it. We're going to start to move through some hip circles here. So we want to be nice and long and tall through our spine. We want our heart to be nice and open. So we're actually going to take our heart is the top side of the handle, and we're using our heart to guide our body around our hip. So just imagining that hip bowl here, making sure we're breathing still. Maybe we inhale as the heart reaches forward, exhale as the heart reaches back, or whatever feels good for you. Now we want to make sure we change directions. And again, using that breath, inhaling maybe as the heart reaches forward, exhaling as the heart reaches back, and really getting all of those sides. Just stirring everything up. Now let's find ourselves in our center here, finding a little bit of stillness. We want to lengthen out long. I like to think of our spine as like on the juice boxes, that bendy straw. So before we can actually bend it appropriately, so we can actually get the liquid out of it, so that flow, we have to lengthen the straw before we bend. So let's lengthen through the spine, nice and long and tall. So we're just taking our heart, lifting, maybe even breathing, expanding the lungs, inhaling here. And on our exhale, we can start to reach that heart forward. We're bending that bendy straw here. And then we can guide that heart towards our knee. We don't have to go far. So maybe we're here. Maybe this feels good. Maybe we're feeling some stretch. Maybe we're noticing some tension. That's okay. If this hurts, don't do it. If we'd like a little bit more, we can continue to allow ourselves just to guide and fall forward. Arms can reach out long. They can spread out to the side like shoelaces. Whatever feels nice. We can even take our fists to our knee and just rest here. Whatever feels good. So just a few minutes here. And as we're resting here, we still want to make sure we're bringing our awareness into our breath. So we want to pull our breath down, filling those bottom lobes of the lungs, pressing those lungs down into the top sides of the hips, just to make sure we are creating some of that downward pressure to lengthen the spine. Now if we need to, we can readjust, we can lift, we can lengthen, and then fold some more. We can sway side to side just a little bit, just rocking. Resting, breathing. Now on our next inhale, lifting the heart first. Exhale, walk the hands back, lifting up. And from here, we'll lengthen our legs out long. We can wiggle our legs. Lots of tension here. We can even rotate here if we're on a block, just be mindful of that. Just kind of shaking everything out. Now we're going to take our left leg and checking in with our body to see what this side feels like. Might even be different. Maybe we notice if one side is more cooperative than the other. So for me, I'm not going to be able to do this one today. Taking care of knee and taking care of a hip. And this may not cooperate with me, or maybe it will, who knows. I'm going to adjust myself here. So we're just getting ourselves into our nice, comfortable, as comfortable as possible position. And making sure that our hip doesn't want to lift. My problem is my block doesn't want to stay under my sits bones. So long through that spine. Again, we are taking that spine like the bendy straw, lengthening it first, flotation through the ribs, and we can start to scrape forward. So just tuning into the body and noticing what this feels like. Is any particular part of our body talking to us today? Do we need to move out of this pose? Is this side less cooperative than the last side? Or maybe we're feeling even more comfortable on this side than the last. And just acknowledging that and honoring that in our body. And it's okay to not do exactly the same thing on both sides. So sometimes we like to get ourselves into this idea that balance is equal, that balancing something means we do exactly the same thing on one side that we do on the other, and that's not necessarily true. If you are overly contracted on one side and overly stretched on the other, if we stretch both sides equally, then we're just taking that imbalance and leveling up. So we want to make sure that we're listening to our body. And if one side hurts more than the other, then we don't need to do it. Now from here, changing directions, making sure we did both directions. I'm too busy talking to move. And lifting and lengthening through the spine like that bendy straw. On our next inhale, we can exhale, shift the heart forward, and start to bend and move ourselves forward. We can start to relax the nose towards the knee. We can stay up high on our hands. Any level of bend or forward movement here is perfectly acceptable. If we are hurting, we come out of this pose. We don't do it at all. Making sure we're breathing here. And again, breathing down into the lower lobes of our lungs and just giving those hips just a little bit of an extra push downward to traction and lengthen the spine. We can sway side to side. We can rest all the way down. We can find stillness. Hands can go wherever they feel good, out to the side or forward, or planting the palms into the mat. Before we do anything else, our inhale lifts our heart, our exhale walks our hands back, and then we can unwind. Lengthening our legs long, shaking everything out, maybe rubbing, maybe we pat, a little bit of tap movement. Whatever feels good, rubbing everything, just a little bit of a massage here, getting a circulation going again. And then from here, we'll make our way back down onto our back side and rolling ourselves, drawing knees into chest, all the way down onto our back. Now from here, for our final relaxation, we can float the feet down to the floor. And we can find any pose that feels good. So whatever feels nice. Maybe today we bring the soles of the feet together, we let the knees fall to the side. So this is a hip opener here, reclining butterfly. Let's walk our shoulder blades in towards the spine. We can open our arms out wide to the side. So if we're in reclining butterfly, just a couple of extra goodies here. We can notice the sacrum in the floor, so that heart space at the very lower end of our spine. And from here, just a little bit of a massage for the sacrum. We can bobble the knees side to side, just a little bit of a bobble. We might even notice the transverse abdominals moving and firing to help facilitate this movement here. Just a little bit of a bobble here, shaking it out. And we can send that breath down into the pelvic region, down into the hips, down into the pelvic floor. And we can stop that movement, finding stillness here. We can take the palms of our hands, so where the wrist meets the palms, the heel of our palm, and we're going to notice our hip crease here. We're lifting the fingers up towards the sky, taking the palm, the heel of the palm, and sliding it into the crease of our hips. So our palms are facing the wall in front of us. They're facing down towards our toes, and just a little bit of pressure into the top sides of the thigh. So like we're trying to pop our leg bones out. Don't do that, but just like we're feeling that sensation of trying to pop those leg bones out and press them down towards the toes. Just a little bit of pressure here. So tractioning, opening the hip joint, creating a little bit of space. Maybe we imagine a flood of fluid, of lubrication, filling that space. On our next inhale, we can exhale, release that pressure. And then sending that breath into the pelvis, into the hips, into the pelvic floor, maybe even out into the inner thighs and through the knees. And then just resting here. So maybe while we're resting here in final relaxation, this time we imagine to cool the body and to calm the body and to bring in just a little bit of clarity and focus here. We can start to breathe or imagine we're breathing through our left nostril. So breathing in through the left nostril, into the left abdominals, into the left toes, and then exhaling up through the right toes, up through the right abdominals, and out through the right nostril. So just circulating our breath through the left side of our body and out the right. Left side of our body is cooling, it's lunar. It connects with the moon. So thinking about nighttime cooling, calming down, restfulness. let's bring our awareness back into the space. Let's take this opportunity to tune into the body, scan from the tips of our toes to the knees, to the hips, the ribs, the shoulders, arms, forearms, all the way up through the crown of the head. And let's notice any sensations that we might be feeling. Notice where. And let's become curious about what it is our bodies are trying to tell us today. On our next inhale, we can breathe breath deep down into our core and all the way into our toes. And as we exhale, we can collect any residual negative sensations and release them away into the universe. Wiggling our toes, wiggling our fingers, rotating our wrists, rotating our ankles. We can roll to one side, pausing briefly if we need to reflect, before gently and mindfully pushing the body up into any seated position that's comfortable. We can allow our eyes to remain closed or just gaze gently down towards the floor. On our next inhale, we can circle sweep our arms out wide to the side, collect all of the positive energy that surrounds us in this space. Our palms meet at the top. Exhale, pull positive energy directly into our heart space, pressing our thumbs into our sternum. And may we each go out into the remainder of our day, finding many blessings and great peace. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today.